Hello, welcome to my presentation, the Paris Study Abroad presentation. I am doing this on my phone, so we'll see how this goes. Okay, first things first, I went to the Eiffel Tower 3 times, technically 4. The Eiffel Tower was honestly amazing, and what shocked me the most about it was the fact that they have actual elevators inside of it. And I would like to know when they put elevators inside the Eiffel Tower. Also, I find it interesting that there's a whole restaurant inside of it, as well as the fact that, at least as far as I know, there used to be, probably still is, a hidden apartment inside the Eiffel Tower. I think they probably converted that into the restaurant, now that I'm thinking about it. Oh yeah, and then that's Catherine, me, and Caro at the bottom. That's us being like silly people. Now moving forward, this is the Parc des Buttes Chaumont. I probably butchered that. I'm so sorry. This park is extremely beautiful. I've been there twice, I think. Yeah, I've been there twice. And you can see here, we're being silly again. Seth is here too. We were like, I don't know what he's doing in the first photo. I think he fell and then took me with him. And it's funny because then he puts up a heart even though he knocked me out at the, he attacked me in the first photo. Just kidding. Love you, Seth. Anyways, so for this park, it was really, really pretty. And one thing I learned about Parisian parks is that I believe for every single one of them, all of them are gated and they close around 8 or 9 p.m. I don't remember when Buttes Chaumont closed. I think it was 10. I could be so wrong, but it closes before midnight for sure. So this is the Palais Garnier. I also probably butchered that. I'm going to be butchering every pronunciation. I apologize. I really, really liked the opera, because it's honestly gorgeous. Just look at these photos. So I also really like the fact that Phantom of the Opera is based on the Palais, and you can see it's literally in my photo right there, 6 places. The door number, just look at that. Okay. It's gorgeous. And obviously everything in Paris is gorgeous, but also another interesting fact about the opera that I didn't know before until I did the tour is that the opera was made for nobles and the king and queen. It wasn't made for anybody else to enjoy it. So one thing is that the king and the queen would give a lot of funding to the opera, but in return the opera would take this money and they wouldn't use real gold, as far as I know. I mean, they probably have real gold somewhere inside the opera, but everything you see in these photos, it's all bronze. I don't think all of it's fake, but most of it is fake, and it's meant to lure you in. It's meant to it's meant to look as if it's real, and I find that is a really interesting part of the opera. And so, the reason I find that really interesting is because I don't have a photo of it, but if you're walking outside the opera and you're headed towards it, you can see how they use a fake balcony, but it looks so real from a distance, and I think that's something that no opera really does besides this one, at least not on this scale, this grandeur. So this is Versailles. Versailles, I had a blast in. I was wearing the wrong shoes this day, which kind of sucked, but your girl had to wear those shoes. Anyways, this is me jumping, and then immediately after that, I think my shoe almost came off. One of them is just too big for me. Anyways, that's irrelevant. So, at Versailles, I learned quite a lot. I learned There are over 2,300 rooms in Versailles. That is insane. And on top of that, another thing I learned is that in Versailles, staff are still discovering new rooms and new hidden back ways, basically servant quarters. So they're just discovering like hidden locations inside of Versailles. And Versailles is so massive. The upkeep is insane. Obviously, it is, I believe, one of the most expensive out of the entire world, the most expensive place, that like most expensive building, I would say. It cost to build Versailles in modern daytime. Oh my gosh, not daytime. To build Versailles in present time, I believe would take $30 billion US dollars to make. And I think that's just the base amount. It would be much higher. So knowing this fact, it's just that whenever the French Revolution happened, it happened because for a few reasons. But one of the main ones was that price for bread as a staple good was too expensive. And because it was so expensive, and because the king, albeit I don't believe that Marie Antoinette wanted to take part in this, but she did anyways because she was the queen, even though she was married to him forcefully when she was 14 years old. But we're not going to talk about that. We're not going to talk about my opinion on Marie Antoinette. We're just going to say that the king at the time, he honestly was an asshat, like completely starved the French people, the common folk. They couldn't eat. They were malnourished. And at the end of the day, it's like you have these people who are malnourished, but then you look over at Versailles, which is literally not even where the court initially was. It was a place where it was the country home of the king and queen. And it only became the main vicinity for the court after the French Revolution was starting to pick up, after people were getting angry and aggressive and were starting to lash out at this inequality and this crime against humanity. So the king was like, yeah, guys, pack your shit up. We're going to go to Versailles because, this is scary. So they did that because he was a coward. I totally have no opinions whatsoever. Totally not injecting my bias into this. But yeah, long story short, this is a country home for the king and the queen, or for royalty. And it's so massive. Like, I don't even think I got through a third of Versailles. It's just massive. The fact that it takes 14 minutes to get to the cafe, one of the cafes from the main building, is crazy to me. Also, another thing that I saw in Versailles Gardens is really interesting to me is the fact that they have bonsai trees. Bonsai trees, I don't know if anyone's watching this, bonsai trees, if you don't know this, are very, very hard to take care of. They require constant plucking, constant monitoring. You cannot leave them alone. You would have to, you need it. I don't know. I can't speak English right now. Sorry. Bonsai trees require constant maintenance. It's not just hey, I'll water my plants next week. No, your bonsai tree has to be cut, pruned, reshaped every single day, sometimes twice a day, to keep them the shape they are and the size they are. Bonsai trees are so hard to take care of, and that's why it was a Japanese technique that I believe royalty found interesting, and so they took it and they started to adopt this technique. But when I was going through their gardens, they had over 20 bonsai trees. Do you know how insane that is to have over 20 bonsai trees? You have to be so rich for this. And it's Versailles, so I'm not even surprised that they have 20 bonsai trees. Also, some of their bonsai trees not to go on like a whole tangent on bonsai trees, but some of them even were growing fruit. And another interesting thing, I need to stop saying that. Another thing I saw was that at one of the ice cream stands right next to the bonsai trees, they had little lemons, and they were using that in their flavoring. They were going to the bonsai trees and using the fruit that they were growing. That just seems like something Versailles would do. Here are some more photos of Versailles, the inside of it. I don't know a lot about these murals, and I don't know a lot of the history. All I know is everything you're looking at, everything is the reason why the French Revolution happened. It's like all these artistic masterpieces. Again, not even a third of Versailles is even covered in my gallery. I could not go around and take so many photos. My phone would probably explode. Again, more photos of Versailles. Versailles was just massive. I took a photo of the inside a lot. The photo at the far right is at the front entrance of Versailles when you first go through it, to the left of the Golden Gate. So I also really liked how they had all their big statues at the front, with all their horses and stuff. I don't think I implemented that in here. This is the Musée du Louvre. This here, the middle piece is one of my favorites, and also because it's by my favorite tailor. That would be Azzedine Alaïa, if I said his name correctly. I should have, if he's my favorite. So whenever I was walking through the Musée du Louvre, I was very shocked to see that Azzedine was here. I probably should have expected it if I looked up the itinerary and if I looked up what they currently had on their fashion section, or their fashion list in the Musée du Louvre. But still, Azzedine Alaïa, oh my gosh, beautiful, gorgeous. The one right next to him, right next to that one, I don't remember if Azzedine made that too. I don't think he did. That might have been, gosh, I should have written this down, but I didn't. If someone could tell me, I would really appreciate it. Here's some more photos. The clock was gorgeous. I really had to get a photo of that. Or the window, not the clock, but it was gorgeous. And also another thing I found inside the Musée du Louvre is on the left side of the image you see there, that I found a lot of those symbols everywhere. Kind of like the not really a star. It's kind of I should probably do research before I just do a presentation. I'm kind of just telling you everything I remember, but yeah. Those symbols are everywhere, and I just kind of like that history is still preserved in France, and especially Paris, is that they don't let go of their symbols. This is the Galeries Lafayette. So the fashion show, I really, really liked it. They had a lot of great pieces. I will admit the music kind of threw it off, but then it quickly picked back up. And so you see we have some awesome pieces right here. The lighting, I think, really fits the right image. Also, one thing I learned is that whenever you're going through an expensive shopping center, like, in San Antonio, we have La Cantera. In Austin, we don't really have like a super expensive one. I think all of our shopping centers are kind of dying. But if you look at here at the Galeries Lafayette, I learned that you should treat expensive shopping centers as a museum, and less as a shopping experience. Because if you're like me, it cannot be a shopping experience unless you're about to make the worst decision of your life with your money. Like these two pieces, gorgeous. But at the same time, I feel like with enough experience, I could make this myself. With enough training, even as an apprentice, I feel like I could just make this myself. They also had in the kids section some really nice stuff. I thought the Ninjago set that they had there was really funny. I'm surprised Ninjago is even still a thing, but apparently it is. And they also had some interesting setups, as you can see on the bottom right. This is the Foundation Louis Vuitton. I drove a boat. It was a very, very slow boat, but I was drifting. I was Tokyo drifting and swerving, and yeah, I'm really good at driving boats. You can hire me if you want. Yeah, their garden was really awesome, and I will say that I thought that the inside of Louis Vuitton, I won't say I was impressed, like I wasn't disappointed, but the outside attractions were definitely worth it. This is the Pierre Cardin workshop. As you can see on the right side, that's the piece that Lady Gaga wore. And on the left side, that is the piece that I asked if I could buy it in installations. And they said no. Here you can see, this is definitely not Stay City for Gare de l'Est. So what happened here is, I took a little accidental adventure as my phone was at 1% and then eventually died. And I was a genius. Okay, this was the third or fourth day. No, that sounds pathetic. This was the second day of classes having started. And I split from Catherine. We both went our separate ways, and her phone died too, funnily enough. But I split from Catherine and started to make my way all the way to Stay City. What I didn't realize was I was going to the wrong Stay City. So essentially my phone died while I was at the wrong Stay City. And honestly, this is kind of impressive for me. I managed to find my way back to the actual Stay City, but I had to retrace all my steps and then go the other way. And so it took me a little bit to make my way back to Stay City. But I will say, the reason I put this in here is mainly because it's like, after getting lost, it forced me to use my critical thinking skills to navigate in a city that uses metro a lot. So having that system in place was very, very helpful. And I really wish that Texas had this, because out of all the states in the USA, Texas is the one that needs this the most. And it's nice to be in a city that really depends on it quite a lot. This is the Moulin Rouge. Yeah, I was ecstatic to be here. It was beautiful, gorgeous, amazing. These are just like some photos that I took before the curtains opened. Now, keep in mind, we're not allowed to take photos during the play. So, well, not really a play, but yeah. Anyways, so because of that, I decided to show you a artistic visual representation of what I saw. That's me in the bottom saying wow, and then that's the singer with the she's with the feathers. That's when they were like turning around and then showing their butts and screaming. That's them singing. I don't know what the guy in the far back is doing. He's doing some, like, dancing, I guess. Yeah, thank you for listening to my presentation. The beginning was probably really boring, but I think I picked it up at the end. Okay, great. Bye!